connected to whispers politicians refused to repeat publicly. And standing in front of him now was a tired waitress with shaking hands and exhausted eyes. Daisy Jones, 26 years old, working double shifts, 3 months behind on rent, emotionally exhausted enough to stop fearing rich men properly. "I'm sorry," she said softly, but her voice lacked desperation. That was the first thing Damien noticed. No trembling, no begging, no performance, just calm honesty. The manager rushed over immediately. "Sir, we deeply apologize." Damien lifted one finger slightly. The man stopped speaking. His dark eyes stayed on Daisy. "You ruined my suit." "Yes, nothing else. No excuses. No dramatic apology." Something cold shifted quietly inside him. "Interesting. You know how much this costs?" Daisy grabbed a towel and cleaned the floor carefully. "No." A pause. "But I'm assuming enough to ruin my week." Several nearby customers looked horrified. Damien stared at her longer. Most people feared power. She looked emotionally detached from it, and somehow that irritated him immediately. "You're not nervous," he said. "I'm tired." Again honest. Again calm. Again wrong. Because women around Damien usually wanted something. Money. Status. Protection. But Daisy looked at him like he was simply another difficult part of her exhausting morning. And men like Damien remembered women who treated them normally. Dangerously so. Before leaving, he stood slowly. Tall. Cold. Sharp black suit untouched except for the coffee stain. "What's your name?" "Daisy." He repeated it internally once. Daisy. Soft name. Warm name. Wrong for his world. "I'll come back tomorrow," he said. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "Why?" Damien adjusted his cuff calmly. "Because I dislike unfinished things." Then he walked away, and Daisy watched him leave, with an uncomfortable feeling inside her chest. Not attraction. Recognition. Like trouble had just memorized her face. If this story already has your attention, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Because some people enter your life quietly and still destroy your peace. He returned the next morning at exactly 7:43. Same table. Same cold expression. Same suffocating presence. The restaurant staff became nervous instantly. Daisy did not. "You came back," she said. "You sound disappointed." "I was hoping billionaires had better hobbies." Something nearly resembling amusement flickered briefly across Damien's face. Gone immediately. Still dangerous. Still noticeable. Daisy regretted noticing it. Damien accepted the coffee carefully. "You work too much." Her eyes narrowed. "You investigated me?" "Yes. That's invasive." "That's caution." "No," Daisy corrected softly. "That's control." The sentence landed harder than expected. Damien disliked people understanding him too quickly. Especially women. Especially calm women. "You have debt," he said. "You have boundary issues." Another silence followed. Their conversations never sounded romantic. They sounded like emotional chess. Careful. Sharp. Dangerously observant. Outside, rain covered Seoul softly. Inside, Damien watched her move around the restaurant quietly, helping elderly customers, cleaning tables alone, thanking kitchen staff politely. No manipulation. No fake charm. Just quiet dignity. And quiet dignity became addictive to lonely men eventually. That evening, Daisy left work alone. The black luxury car, waiting outside, startled her immediately. Damien stood beside it calmly. "You followed me." "No." That answer somehow feels worse. A faint breeze moved between them. "You shouldn't walk home alone," Damien said. "There it is." "There what is?" The moment rich men confuse concern with ownership. His jaw tightened slightly. Because she was right. Gunshots exploded down the street suddenly. Glass shattered nearby. Damien moved instantly. One arm wrapped around Daisy as he forced her behind a parked car. More bullets struck metal. People screamed. And for the first time, Daisy saw the real Damien Stones. Cold, calm, violent, perfectly at home inside danger. He pulled a gun from his jacket smoothly, then fired once into the darkness. Silence followed immediately, and fear finally entered Daisy's eyes. Not because of the shooting, because Damien looked emotionally familiar with violence. An hour later, Daisy sat inside Damien's penthouse. Glass walls overlooked Seoul like a kingdom above ordinary people. The apartment was beautiful, but emotionally empty. No warmth, no softness, no evidence anyone truly lived there. Damien loosened his tie near the staircase. The scar near his wrist became visible briefly. Old knife wound. Deliberate. Painful. Daisy noticed immediately. "My father gave me that scar," Damien said suddenly. Her eyes lifted slowly. He believed fear created loyalty. No emotion crossed his face. That made it worse. Emotionally damaged people often spoke about pain calmly. "You hate him," Daisy whispered. Damien looked toward the city lights. "No." A pause. "I became him." The confession settled quietly between them, and for the first time, Daisy saw loneliness beneath the power. That was the beginning of the problem, because women survived dangerous men easier than lonely ones. That night, she found Damien sitting alone near the staircase, whiskey untouched beside him. "You don't drink it," she said softly. "No." "Then why pour it?" "Habit." Rain touched the windows quietly. Daisy picked up the folded blanket nearby and placed it beside him gently. Such a small gesture, meaningless to most people. But Damien stared at the blanket for several seconds afterward, because nobody had cared for him softly in years. "You make this place feel less empty," he admitted quietly, and Daisy's heartbeat betrayed her immediately. Chairwoman Damien Stones arrived 2 days later, and immediately understood everything. Daisy. Not because of beauty, because of influence. Damien looked different around her. More distracted, more human. Dangerous changes. "You work at a cafe?" Evelyn asked politely. "Yes." How humble. The insult hid beneath elegance. Daisy heard it immediately. So did Damien. "She's smarter than most people at your charity events," Damien said coldly. Silence followed. Evelyn studied her son carefully then. Interesting. He was defending someone emotionally. That almost never happened. Later that evening, Evelyn requested tea privately with Daisy. "My son destroys things he becomes emotionally attached to," she said calmly. Daisy remained silent. Men like Damien consume peace when they're starving emotionally. The warning settled heavily into the room. "You think I want his money," Daisy said softly. "No," Evelyn replied quietly. "I think eventually he'll want your softness." And somewhere downstairs, Damien sat alone replaying Daisy's laughter in his mind. Already obsessed. Already emotionally dependent. Already doomed. Do you think Daisy should stay away from Damien? Or do you think he deserves a chance? Like, comment, and subscribe before the betrayal changes everything. The charity gala glittered with wealth and fake smiles. Politicians. Models. Predators wearing expensive fabric. Daisy attended reluctantly beside Damien. Emerald dress. Natural curls loose tonight. Graceful enough to silence rooms. Damien noticed every man staring at her, and hated it immediately. Obsession often began as irritation. Then the necklace disappeared. A rare diamond heirloom belonging to Damien Stones. Worth millions. Security locked the ballroom instantly. Whispers spread. And finally, Evelyn looked toward Daisy. "Search her bag." The room froze. A guard obeyed carefully. Then the necklace appeared inside Daisy's purse. Shock spread immediately. Daisy understood instantly. Someone planted it there. Her eyes lifted toward Damien slowly. This was the moment. The emotional destruction point. The moment everything changed. Damien stared at the necklace silently. His instincts told him she was innocent. But years of power politics trained caution into him, and hesitation destroyed trust faster than cruelty. Daisy waited. 1 second. 2. 3. He said nothing, and that silence broke her heart completely. Not the accusation. His silence. "I didn't steal it," Daisy whispered. Nobody answered. Her eyes remained on Damien. Still silent. Still emotionally restrained. Still choosing control over her dignity. Something inside Daisy closed permanently. "I understand," she whispered softly. Then she walked away from the ballroom alone, while Damien felt regret begin immediately. Too late. Daisy disappeared before sunrise. No argument. No tears. No dramatic goodbye. Just absence. And absence destroyed Damien quietly. The penthouse became unbearable afterward. The staircase reminded him of her. The blanket reminded him of her. Even silence reminded him of her. Weeks passed. He stopped sleeping properly, stopped attending social events, stopped pretending loneliness wasn't consuming him alive. Then his assistant discovered the truth. Security footage. Evelyn's attendant planting the necklace inside Daisy's purse. Damien stared at the footage silently, long enough for guilt to become physical. He had known. Some part of him knew Daisy would never steal, but he still stayed silent. And silence became betrayal when it came from someone you trusted. That night, Damien confronted his mother. "You framed her." "Yes," Evelyn answered calmly. "She weakened you emotionally." Damien's dark eyes hardened. "She made me human." For the first time, Evelyn looked uncertain. "You would choose her over your family?" Damien looked toward the city. "I already chose this family once." A pause, and it destroyed everything worth saving. Then he walked away, and somewhere in Seoul, Daisy folded books quietly inside a small bookstore cafe near the coast, trying to forget the man who taught her powerful people always protected each other first. Damien found Daisy 2 months later in Busan. Rain touched the bookstore windows softly as he entered. Daisy looked up immediately, and all warmth disappeared from her expression. "You found me." "Yes, you shouldn't have." "I know." That answer surprised her briefly, not because of the words, because he sounded exhausted. "Human. I was wrong," Damien admitted quietly. Silence followed. "You embarrassed me in front of people who already looked down on me," Daisy whispered. "You stayed silent." Every sentence hit precisely. Damien swallowed slowly. Rare vulnerability. "My entire life taught me emotions make people weak. And by the time I chose you over caution," his voice lowered, "you were already gone." Daisy stared at him quietly. Then Damien made the mistake that shattered everything. "My organization funded the warehouse operation that killed your brother." The world stopped. Daisy stepped backward slowly. Pain entered her face immediately. "You knew?" "Yes." "And you waited to tell me?" "I was afraid." The answer destroyed her completely. "You don't get to love people halfway, Damien." Then she walked away, leaving Damien alone beside the ocean, emotionally distraught. Coffee outside the bookstore every morning. Fresh flowers for the elderly owner upstairs. Quiet kindness. No expectations attached. Slowly, Daisy began noticing something difficult. Damien was changing. Not perfectly, not quickly, but honestly. One rainy evening, she found him sitting alone outside the bookstore. No security, no expensive suit, just exhaustion. "You'll get sick sitting in the rain," she said softly. "I've survived worse." She sat beside him quietly. Rain softened around them. "You still scare me sometimes," Daisy admitted. "I know, but you try." That word affected him visibly. Try. Nobody praised effort in Damien's world. Only power. Only dominance. Only results. Daisy reached for his hand slowly. Her fingers brushed the scar near his wrist gently. "You don't have to be feared to matter," she whispered. Something inside Damien finally broke open softly. Not violently, like ice melting after surviving winter too long. And for the first time in years, Damien Stones looked less like a dangerous billionaire, and more like a man finally learning how to be loved. Outside, rain covered Busan quietly. Cold world, warm hands, and somewhere between loneliness and redemption, 2 damaged people chose honesty over fear. If this story stayed with you until the end, like, comment, and subscribe. Because some love stories don't heal people perfectly. They just teach them how to stop hiding.